let's do it again.
So why do we like the EB1A category so much? Because number one, it is fast. Amongst all the immigration categories, EB1, whether it is A, B, or C, are the fastest. Today, we are going to talk about EB1A. We'll talk about B and C later on. But this is not only is it fast, it does not require an employer. So you can, as I was telling Yudi, if you look at your resume and you say, oh yeah, I am all that in a bag of chips, you are EB1A. Okay. And I also tell people I've been practicing law for 30 years. I have good qualifications. And I don't think I could easily qualify for an EB1A. It's a category that's a very narrowly focused category. They have certain requirements. And it's fitting you into a mold. If you get into that mold, you get EB1A. Otherwise, it's difficult.
Is it also called Einstein Visa?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a dumb name. You don't have to be Einstein. You can be the top 10% of the profession. You don't have to be the very top. Okay. Albert Einstein was the very top of his profession.
Yeah.
But here the formula is that about 10%. Okay. So let's begin with extraordinary ability EB1A green cards. Let's go to slide 2. The central question in an EB1A is, have you sustained national or international acclaim? Are you famous? And famous doesn't mean that every kid in town should know your name. It means that the people in your own profession should know you. And what is your profession? Sciences, any sciences, arts, which means performing arts, dancers. We've done some musicians, all kinds. Education, if you're an educator. Business, we've done a bunch of business cases. Athletics, we've done a bunch of athletics, including cricketers, because cricket is taking on root in USA. So we've done some cricketers cases under EB1A as well. Of course, scientists are the most common category. That is the central question. And how do you demonstrate that you have national or international acclaim? Let's go to the next slide, slide number 3. So you demonstrate it by asking the first question. Have you received a one-time award which is national or international? For example, let me make it easy for you. If you win the Nobel Prize, we are getting you in. Okay. So it's a one-time, highly regarded award. So it can be a national award. We did a green card, EB1A green card for a writer, a script writer from India. She had written scripts and she had won Nanaji Phalke Award, or is it Dada Saheb Phalke Award?
Yeah.
Now, the weirdest thing was there was so little known about that award. It took all our effort to demonstrate that this was the highest award that the Indian government gave for accomplishments in movie making. So she got her green card with just that award, with just one application. We didn't even have an RFE. Okay. So if you have a one-time major national or international award, you would qualify. If no, then we go on to the next step, which is where 90% of us fall. It's a two-step analysis. There is a quantitative analysis where you meet 3 out of 10 requirements. And then there's a qualitative analysis. That's where they get us. Qualitative analysis, yeah, you meet 3 out of 10 requirements, but you're not a bag of chips. Okay. You may be all that, but you're not a bag of chips. So you're good, but you're not that good. And that's where they get us, because that's a judgment call. Okay. Go on to slide number 4. We talk about the quantitative analysis. Now we are going to look for 3 out of 10. Now remember, the law also says if these 10 don't apply to your profession, you can use comparable evidence. So it's not these 10 are the only way to go. But if you say, look, I am, I don't know, for example, an astronaut. Would you qualify as an athlete? Would you qualify as a scientist? Depends. Okay. So if you have a non-traditional profession that does not meet these requirements specifically, you might still be able to qualify. So quantitatively, 3 out of 10, which is 90% of our people, would be 1, have you received smaller awards that are still national or international in scope? So that would be one criterion. Remember, we have to meet 3, then we go to qualitative analysis. Okay. Number 2, are you a member of associations that require outstanding achievement as a precondition to getting inducted? So if you are a dues paying member, and anybody can become a member by paying the dues, this is one question I get asked a lot. I'm a member of IEEE, doesn't matter. Anybody who's an engineer can pay the dues and become a member of IEEE. So, but if you were, let's say, one of the core standards committee within IEEE, we could try to make a case that to get to that committee, you've got to have extraordinary achievements, outstanding accomplishments. Then they get into these questions. Who are the people who selected you? Are they themselves extraordinary? Who are the people who were selected to this in the past? Were they extraordinary too? So the government doesn't give this green card easily. Okay. A lot of it is judgment call. Now, I've been wrong before. I have assessed people's resumes and said, well, I don't think you qualify, but look, I could be wrong. And I've been proven wrong. I'm only happy, but very, very rarely. Let me also add that. And remember, your lawyers get paid whether you win or you lose. I should be telling you, your resume is like the Taj Mahal. Let's file it. Because I'm going to get paid whether you win or you lose. Right. But I think you are calling me not to give me money, but to get good advice. And we try to give you good advice as best as we can. At the end of this, I'll give you a couple of shortcuts that you can take. But resume building is a long-term, lifelong effort. You can't just build a resume overnight. So start doing anything that you can to make you shine out in your own profession. So less of PUBG, more of publications. Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
So
just a question on this. So let's say if I because I know I've done this, so I was a president of Indian Student Club in my university, and we hosted this event which had 700 people, and that was published in local newspaper and all of that. Does that count at all or no?
No, because I'm a lawyer, and let's say I play tabla, okay? And I'm extraordinarily good in tabla, and I've got many awards in tabla. But that doesn't qualify me to be the best lawyer I can be. So it's got to be related to your profession.
Got it. Yep.
Okay. So the third is published material about you in professional or major trade publications or other major media. So somebody does a write-up on you. I know that there are agencies out there that people actually hire to get PR on themselves. I find that a little sleazy, but as long as it is not illegal, by all means do it. We've never done that with any of our clients, nor would I recommend it. I'm not sure I would like to represent somebody who has to do that. I like genuine cases. What is the point of just gaming the system? Okay. So published material about you. Now, what happens is this is very common. You have made a discovery or an invention which received a lot of attention. Okay. Now, what if the articles are about your invention, not about you? Does that qualify? And USCIS has said, no, it has to be about you, not about your invention. And courts are going in the other direction. Courts are saying, no, we don't think you can make that distinction because the inventor is tied to the invention. So when the invention is, especially if it is single-handed invention, instead of a group of 350 people, like it happens in CERN, I had some scientists out of CERN, and they were a group of 200, 250 people or 50 people who were working on the same project. That might be a different situation. Fourth item is if you've been asked to judge the work of others. Now, this is something you can do. Become a member of an editorial board. Okay? Become a member of an editorial board. It doesn't have to be science or nature. It can be even a smaller publication with a smaller footprint. It can be in India, it can be in UK, it can be in Bulgaria, it can be anywhere. Okay. It helps you because ad hoc reviews, for example, if you're a PhD student, your PhD guide throws a book at you and says, can you review this? Well, it's not quite the same thing as being a member of the editorial boards. Although there are cases where people had done 20 reviews for reputable publications, and even though they were ad hoc reviews, they were enough to meet this criterion.
Hmm. What
Okay.
about judging the competitions, like tech competitions or cybersecurity competitions, things like that?
Remember, it's peers. So if it's students, they are not your peers.
Mm, okay.
Okay. So a more interesting question, I'm doing right now a case of an architect, a system architect. For him, he is in a 600 employee company. He is one of the top 5 people who reviews design.
Hmm.
I think I can qualify him.
Yeah.
Okay. Because he's definitely a peer reviewer.
Right. Right.
Another example is people who review grants for like National Science Foundation. So when you want money from the government, you write a grant, it goes to these 5 or 6 scientists, they review it and they say, yeah, it's worth spending money on it. Let's
Hmm.
give him some money.
Hmm. Yeah.
Peer review. Okay. And even there, they will want to make sure that people who selected you or people who came before you to judge were all extraordinary people. This is not a category they give easily, like I said before. Okay. Then the fifth one is original scientific, scholarly, artistic, athletic, or business related contributions of major significance. I'll give you a few examples that will flesh this out. Remember, they have to be of major significance.
Hmm.
But major significance to whom? To the field, not to your employer. However, we had a case, very interesting case, in which somebody who worked for AWS designed a security methodology. It wasn't software, it was a security methodology that made your systems X degrees more safe by just
Hmm.
using that methodology.
Hmm.
And whatever he had written had been downloaded 55,000 times in a year. And that's a lot because it's a pretty um, specialized, focused piece of work. The question is, how does it help the field?
Mhm.
It helps AWS people. We were able to show that enterprise clients, I think like 89% are using AWS.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay. So now I can say when you affect 89% of consumers, you are affecting the field.
Yes.
And the
Yes.
government accepted that.
Hmm.
Okay. So another example of the field is one of the most prestigious, most widely used electronic payment gateways. My guy is an engineer and an MBA. So he is one of their managers, and he designed using JSON, XML, text-based technologies. He designed a way. It wasn't a huge, big invention, but he made it secure. The wrapper was secure, so that instead of taking a month to implement a payment gateway, it took you 2 hours to implement a payment gateway.
Hmm.
Okay, and that he threw open. That methodology he threw open to the whole field, and it was very widely accepted. But we also lost a case where somebody had prepared this, but we were not able to prove that it was widely adopted in the field. Part of it was that was a banking application, and bankers don't like to talk about what they're doing.
Right.
Okay. So while we have lost very, very few cases, maybe one in 100, maybe 1%, but it is possible to lose cases. Many times you get an unreasonable USCIS officer. I'll give you an example. One of my favorite guys in the whole wide world, one of the top flute players. You know, I play the flute. One
Hmm.
of the top flute players in India. Um, I did his case. I was pretty sure he's going to go through. He's very, very good, and he's very well acknowledged. I mean, he's a Grammy nominee, all kinds of awards.
Hmm.
So government denied my case. No, he doesn't meet EB1A classification. So I told him, I said, I want to appeal this case. He said, all right, if you want to go ahead appeal. I appealed it. I lost. I said, I'm still not convinced. I want to refile the case. Remember, you can file an EB1A 1,000 times if you want, 10,000 if you want.
Oh wow.
Second
Okay.
time, my case was approved without an RF.
Wow.
Quantitative analysis, part 2. So we said you have to meet 3 out of 10. We went through 5. Now we are going through the other 5. Have you written scholarly articles in professional or major trade publications or other major media? And scholarly articles usually means scholars or experts read them. They don't have to be necessarily in scholarly journals, but they have to be meant for or at least read by scholarly audience. Okay. They can also ask you for citation history. And sometimes when they want to deny my case, they'll come back and say, well, we've looked at Google Scholar. The people who are at the top of their profession, they have 11,000 citations. Your guy has 200.
Hmm.
Okay. And that's where you get in and say, no, citations are not an evidence by themselves of somebody's capability. Somebody could be in a very esoteric field, very narrowly focused field, where the total number of scientists is 500. How are you going to get 1,000 citations?
Yeah.
Point number 7 doesn't apply to most people, which is exhibitions or showcases. And just because you made some posters probably doesn't qualify you. Point number 8, we use a lot, that you have performed leading or critical role for organizations with distinguished reputation. Give you an example. We had a guy who did a lot of work for IBM, even for Microsoft, and his expertise was implementing ERP level technologies. He was an architect. He went in, he did the architecturing, and he got out. Okay. We were able to show that he had performed critical role, if not leading, for many, many organizations. And this one is usually easy to meet because most people have done that. Even if you've done it in school. We had another guy who was performing a leading or critical role for a conglomerate of universities. You can sometimes use something like that. Okay. And the point number 9 we use a lot, and it's the most difficult one to prove, that you command a high salary as compared to other people. Okay, why? Because it is so difficult to pinpoint what source to use to compare salaries. We lost a case from India because we did not have a reliable source. The guy was really, really good. Okay. But he was in marketing. He was one of the top marketing guys in India. And I told him going in that we're going to have a problem with this criterion. And we did. We just couldn't find any sources to compare his salary, which was huge as compared to even American standards. And the government said, yeah, it's a lot of money, but is it enough money as compared to other people? So we try to get expert evidence. We try to do all sorts of things. But when they don't want to give it to you, they don't want to give it. I personally think he should have won the case and he should try again. And I've told him that. Most of people who are well ensconced in their professions in India, they don't want to move here. Okay. The last one is commercial success in the performing arts. Obviously, scientists are not performing artists unless you're Carl Sagan or somebody like that who does a lot of TV shows, or Yudi. Performance art is not the thing that scientists do. So that we don't really even consider for you. But if you were a ballerina, or if you were a bhangra dancer or a kuchipudi dancer, which we have done, I would consider something like that. Okay. And then what we do is we take the box office receipts to show that you made money. Okay. That not only was your show, did you perform, but you performed in a paying environment and you got good reviews in newspapers for what you did. Something like that.
Yeah.
So those are the 10 criteria. So once we have met 3 out of 10, then we go to qualitative analysis.
Right.
Okay. Anybody has a question so far?
And I just want to clarify, this is not only for people who are coming from India. It can be even if you are studying
Anywhere.
here.
Anywhere. It's because we are a bunch of brown people hanging out. That's why I said India. But
No.
From Norway,
Finland. I meant like the students who are studying right now can also build up their resume.
Yes,
for this.
That's why I'm telling you this. Because if you want to build up your resume, get into an editorial board and write a book. Those 2 things will really help, or a book chapter. So focus your concentration on something you can be really an expert at. For example, I don't know, TCP/IP configuration for Internet of Things and how you can make it secure. Something very, very narrow and esoteric.
Yeah, got it.
For IPv6 in Internet of Things, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So I just talk about that slide number 6. I talk about qualitative analysis. This is a judgment call by the USCIS. Does your resume show overall that you're one of the top, perhaps 10% of the people in your profession, nationally or internationally? But I'm going to show you something which is extremely important, which people don't tell, but this is something I want you to know. I always tell people who come to me, assess your own case. How can you do that? Next slide, which is number 7. Do you want to know more? If you do, I'll show you what to do. Next slide.
Oh, you should have said comment yes. Teaching you to be a YouTuber.
I'm just a lawyer.
Yeah, just
So this is how you actually can assess your own case. In your web search engine, search AAO decisions. And there's a nice red arrow that shows you where to type AAO decisions. I'm using Google, but you use any engine that you like. I have no commission with Google. When you do the search, you come up with this next screen, which is point 2 on the slide 8. There you click on AAO non-precedent decisions. When you click on that, item number 3, locate the full text search. That's where the next page, you can actually see where you stand. For example, in the full text search, I typed extraordinary ability and industrial engineering.
Wait, and you're on 9 now?
I'm on 9 now.
Okay. Yes.
So in the full text engine, it's all in the slides, so you can take a look at it. And the slides are on my LinkedIn page also.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Yudi, you'll put a link to that.
Yes.
Okay. So what you do is you type extraordinary ability within quotes, and that, as anybody who programs knows, that usually when you have a text that you want to pass text as a text string, you enclose it in quotes. It's kind of like that. So in this case, you want the exact phrase extraordinary ability and exact phrase industrial engineering or nuclear science or quantum physics or astrophysics. I mean, whatever your field is. And when you click on that, all these cases show up, which is on page 5. Read just 2 or 3 cases. It will give you a very good grounding on how the government analyzes your case. And if you can do it yourself, you have my blessings. Because really, if you think about it, what are we doing? We are just getting the information together, cataloging it, and presenting it to the government. Anybody who has done a master's degree or a PhD knows what to do. So I'm telling you how, I'm showing you how to do it yourself. And if you still fail, you can come to me and I'll do it again for you. But if you want us to do it, sure, that's how we make a living. We'll be happy to.
Yeah. Okay.
And that is the spiel for our extraordinary ability. I want to do, this is EB1A. I want to do EB1B, which is outstanding researchers and professors. I want to do EB1C, international managers and executives. I want to do national interest waiver. And then I want to do PERM, which is a normal process. Why? Because a lot of people have asked me, now I've got my H1B or I'm in my first year of H1B. What do I do about my green card? How does it work? Okay. Mm-hmm. So we'll set that out for them. I'll do some infographics also, and then we'll make them as the presentations.
Yeah.
You good with that?
Yes.
Okay.